Hi, Comcom, I'm Elizabeth Nkere, and I welcome you back to my YouTube channel, either back or newly welcome. But basically, I welcome you to my YouTube channel where we make learning French fun and interesting. If you're new here, Comcom means community. So on today's episode of A Nigerian Learning French, we're going to be talking about past tense in French. Répétez, past tense in French. D'accord. So before we move forward, please do me a favor and click that like button. Make sure to subscribe to this channel because, basically help our ministry. So that being said, let us dive right into why we are here, shall we? Now, past tense in French is the combination of an auxiliary verb and the past participle of the French verb of choice. Now, this auxiliary verb could either be être or avoir. Être is used to accompany verbs of motion, while avoir is used for the rest of the verb. Now, note, you cannot interswitch. You cannot use être for any verb or avoir for any verb. They are specific. There are specific verbs in which you use these auxiliary verbs with. Now, there are a total of 17 verbs that être is being used with. 17 sounds like a lot, but we're going to make it easier by using a popular acronym. I don't know whether to call it an acronym, but basically it's a sentence, a short sentence. The phrase is Dr. and Mrs Vandertramp. Let's break it down, shall we? D stands for descendre, which means to go down. R stands for revenir, which means to come back. M stands for mourir, which means to die. R stands for retourner, which means to return. S stands for sortir, which means to go out. V stands for venir, which means to come. A stands for aller, which means to go. N stands for naître, which means to be born. D stands for devenir, which means to become. E stands for entrer, which means to enter. R stands for rentrer, which means to re-enter or to come in. T stands for tomber, which means to fall. R again stands for rester, which means to stay. A stands for arriver, which means to arrive. M stands for, M again, yes, stands for monter, which means to climb up. And P stands for partir, which means to leave. Now, I don't know how you're going to cram it. I don't know how you're going to, all you have to do basically is to memorize it. You have to cram it. You have to, anyhow you want to do it, just cram it, because with this acronym, it will make life so much easier for you, like very, very easy. Remember that you can only use être for this group of verbs. You can only use être to be with these verbs. Don't go and use avoir for it. It's not me that taught you that one. Now, the second point we're going to note here is when forming, first of all, we all know that French verbs, we have the ER verbs, we have the IR verbs, we have the RE verbs, and we have irregular verbs. Now, to form the past participle of each of these verbs, there is something you must do. For ER verb, you're going to drop the infinitive and add a forward stroke. Now, infinitive is basically removing the last two letters, that ER there. Yes. You simply drop it and add a forward stroke E at the end. For RE verb, you drop the infinitive and add I. For RE verbs, you're going to drop the infinitive and add U. As much as this seems quite straightforward, we all know that this is French and things can never be completely straightforward. That said, note that there are some irregular verbs. Basically, there are some verbs that will, even if they are RE, ER, or IR, they will not agree to follow the usual pattern. So I'm going to give you a list of those irregular verbs that do not follow this usual pattern of dropping infinitive and adding this one or that one. So here is a list of them. 1. Avoir. If avoir no dey there, which other verb one day? Avoir is not, you're not doing anything. As much as it sounds like an IR verb, it's irregular. So it would be EU, e. 2. Boire, to drink. it will be changed to bu, bu. 3, conduire would be changed to conduit. 4, connaître would be changed to connu. 5, courir would be changed to couru. 6, croire would be changed to cru. 7, dire would be changed to dit. 8, écrit would be changed to écrit. 9, être, the verb to be, would be changed to été, which is sort of the same with this other word, summer. Été, été, to be and summer. What a language. 10, faire would be changed to fait. Lire would be changed to lu. Mettre would be changed to mis. Ouvrir would be changed to ouvert. Prendre would be changed to pris. Savoir would be changed to su. Voir would be changed to vous. Vouloir would be changed to voulu. Like I said before, there is no way I can tell you how to learn this thing. All you have to do is memorize. You have to study it. Or cram. La cram, la po. You either cram or you study it. If you are a scholar, you can just study it. So moving on to the next point. Now, to the main point here is, how would you now put this together? How would you now form the past tense? I said at the beginning that to form past tense, you need an auxiliary verb, which is either être or avoir, with the past participle of the verb in question. So now, how are you going to put this together? How are you going to do this? Let's take examples using Dr. and Mrs Vandertramp. Starting with descendre, which means to go down. We're going to use être, right? So, if you want to say I went down, you would say je suis descendu. Je suis descendu. Now, that suis is être. Don't think because you have to use être with another verb means you will not conjugate it. No, in French. In French you must conjugate. So you must conjugate the être in the sentence. That is why it is now je suis descendu. Okay? Descendu is the past participle of descendre. And then être is there. So put it together. If you want to say I went down, it will be je suis descendu. Okay? The next one is revenir, which means to come back. The past participle for revenir is revenu. Revenu. So if you want to say I came back, it will be je suis revenu. Okay? The next one is mourir, which means to. The past participle of that is mort. I know it's already sounding irregular. If you ask me now, why is it mort instead of morti? I don't have the answer to that question. It is French. Maybe you should go and ask French ancestors. But this is how it is. And it is the way it is that I will teach you. Sorry to disappoint you. So if you want to say he, you'd say il est mort. Il est mort. The next one is retourner, which means to return. So the past participle of retourner is retourner with a forward stroke. So if you want to say I returned, it would be je suis retourné. The next one is sortir, which means to go out. The past participle for sortir is sorti. So if you want to say she went back, it's going to be elle est sortie. Now, while we're going about each of Dr. and Mrs Vandertramp, there is an important thing I want you to note when using être as an auxiliary verb to form past tense. Number one, it must be conjugated. Both être and avoir must be conjugated when being used. 2, it must agree with the subject. The verb that will become past participle must agree with the subject in the sentence. What do I mean by it must agree with the subject? If the subject is feminine, you must conjugate the verb, past participle, and feminine. If the verb is plural, you must conjugate the one transformed into past participle. You must conjugate it to become plural. In the last example I gave just now using sortir, I said Elle est sortie. Elle is feminine. That is she. So I added e at the end to mark that the subject is feminine. That is why, as I was listing each of them with its past participle form, I put e in bracket. I also put s in bracket. What is happening today? Bracket. In bracket. I put it in bracket because in a case where the verb or this in a case where the subject is feminine or plural, you have to add e. If it's a feminine subject, you will add e. If it's a plural subject, you will add s. If it is a feminine and plural subject, you would add es. Stay with me, I'll give more examples with that. The next one is venir, which is to come. The past participle for venir is venu. If I want to say you came, it will be tu es venu. The next one is aller, which means to go. The past participle for aller is aller with a forward stroke e. If you want to say I went, it will be je suis allé. To make it sound better, you add a liaison between suis and aller, so it's going to be je suis allé. The next one is naître, which means to be born. The past participle for naître is né. Yes, I know it is irregular. Duh. I mean, at this point, we just have to accept it. So if I want to say we were born, it will be nous sommes nés. Now I added s at the end of né because nous is plural. Nous is we. So we is definitely more than one person. That makes it plural. So I'm adding s to the end. This is very important. Next one is devenir, which means to become, and the past participle for devenir is devenu. If I want to say I became, it will be je suis devenu. The next one is entrer, which means to enter. The past participle is entrer with a forward stroke e. So if I want to say they entered, but using feminine they, which is elles. So if I say something like elles sont entrées, I am going to add not just that e with forward stroke, I will add an extra e to match that it is a feminine subject. I will also add s to match that it is a feminine and plural subject. So it will be elles sont entrées. Do you get it now? The next one is rentrer, which means to re-enter. This time, if I want to use they, but the plural form, which is ils, I would say ils sont rentrés. Ils sont rentrés. I will no longer need to add an extra e because the subject is masculine. But because it is a plural subject, I will add s. Okay? The next one is tomber, which means to fall. The past participle for tomber is tomber with forward stroke e. So if I want to say he fell, it will be il est tombé. The next one is rester, which means to stay, and the past participle of it is rester. Yes, it is pronounced the same way, so it is just with a forward stroke. If I want to say they stayed, it will be elles sont rentrées. The next one is arriver, and the past participle is arriver with a forward stroke. The next is monter, and the past participle is monter with a forward stroke. The last one here is partir, and the past participle is parti. One thing you should know about plural in French is when using it, because I'm sure some people get confused. When do I use il? When do I use elle? If it is a group of females, you use elle. If it is a group of male, you'd use il. If it is a group of male and female, you use il. Even if the group is only one male that is inside a group of 20 women, you use il. That's how it is in French. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Okay, let's go back to seriousness. Now, these here are the words or are the verbs that you use être, the auxiliary verb être, to make past tense, to form past tense with. These are they. You cannot use anything extra. These are the words, okay? So moving on to avoir. Let's take examples for avoir. We're going to use the verb boire, which means to drink, to take examples for avoir. The past participle for boire is bu. Let's take examples. J'ai bu, I drank. Tu as bu, you drank. Il or elle a bu, he or she drank. Nous avons bu, we drank. Vous avez bu, you drank, but plural. And ils or elles ont bu, which means they drank. An important point to note when using avoir is that unlike être, the verb must not agree with the subject. Sing it in your ear when using avoir as an auxiliary verb to make past tense. The verb, which is the object, must not, it should not, it should never, ever agree with the subject. So don't think because être, since it's a plural subject, I will add s. Even when I'm using avoir, if it's plural, I would add s. Don't try it. It's not me that taught you that. When using avoir, you have to be very cautious of this. You don't have to make the subject the object plural. Okay, so if you notice, even this example I gave to you, when I said nous avons bu, when I said nous avons bu, I did not add s to the bu. I did not add e. Whether the subject is 100 people, whether the subject is plural, you have no business. Don't add s or e. Just leave it as bu. Leave it like that. It is only when you are doing être that you add e or s to match with the subject. This is the difference between both of them. This is what distinguishes both of them when using. Okay. Also, you must conjugate the auxiliary verb avoir. You cannot say je avoir bu. No, you have to conjugate it by j'ai bu, tu es bu, il or elle bu, just like that. Il or elle a bu, a bu, il a, elle est, il a, elle a. You have to conjugate it, okay? Same way you conjugate the être. So that is the only thing they have in common, okay? So there it is, my viewers. There you have it. This is how you form past tense in French. This is how it works. This is how it goes. You have just been enjoying this video from beginning to end, writing, taking notes, studying for your test or exam or whatever you're studying for, and you have not subscribed to my channel. Don't you want to learn? Subscribe now. Do I have to beg you? Oh yeah, please. If I have to beg you, oh yeah, just try and subscribe. Share this video, like, comment, boost it up. Subscribe to my channel. I have a lot of educative shorts. I drop videos every week. Ejo, subscribe to my channel. This October is my birthday month too. Oh yeah, now. Anyway, this is the end of the video. Make sure to share, like, comment, subscribe, and see you in the next video. A bientôt!